Hello, welcome back to Green Diamond Equipment. Today we're going to do some competitive comparisons between the Kioti CS2220 and the Kubota BX23S. Of course, we're a John Deere dealership, so we're going to have a little bit of bias, but we'll go through a few different features and items, and hopefully you can make an educated decision for yourself. Have a great day. Hope you enjoy.
So first we're going to test it at low idle. So right about there. We got about what? 4 inches off the ground. So next we're going to do it at full idle. Or full throttle, sorry. So right about there, I'd say we got about 6 to 8 inches. So that's 977.5 pounds. So this is 1,105 pounds at low idle on the Kioti. And it will not lift at all. So we'll do high idle now, or full throttle. Now I found that when lowering heavy weight with this, the valves are very touchy. It's very difficult to feather it when I bring the loader back down to the ground. So I would not do this. I wouldn't do this test at home. So that's as high as it goes. So we're going to come back down. Okay, so we got 977.5 pounds in this bucket now. We're going to try and lift it low idle. And it will not do it, so we're going to do full idle. So we're getting about 6 to 8 inches off the ground at full throttle and 977.5 pounds. So after some testing, we've got 595 pounds in the Kubota loader, so we're going to try this, see how this goes here. I'm going to bring it up to full throttle. And we're still not reaching the pivot point. So Anthony gives us a hand here. Now we're all the way up, 595 pounds. Feather it back down. Gently. So we've added another 42.5. Just another 42.5 takes that lift capacity down quite a bit. Oh, sorry, the lift capability. Back down.
So let's start at the very front of the machine. We'll do a measurement here, John Deere. Now we always bring them in with the bigger bucket. So I hope you can see we're just shy of 54 inches from side plate to side plate on the John Deere 1023E. Okay, move over to the Kubota. So same measurement, side plate to side plate. This is their standard bucket, and you can see it's at 47 inches wide. Over to the Kioti. Side plate to side plate again. 48.5 inches. So bucket-wise, John Deere is larger volume, which is going to mean less trips to move your material. Now we're going to point out the bucket tip cylinders. As you can see, John Deere has two, one on either side. When you're sitting in the seat, line of sight is exactly the same from the seat to the bucket. Again, line of sight, same from the seat to the bucket. The Kioti is the same, so dual tilt cylinders for the bucket, one on either side. When we look at the Kubota, we have the single center cylinder. So that does obstruct some view for line of sight out to your bucket. And it's also in a spot where material can fall back onto your cylinder rods here, where at least the two cylinders on the Kioti and the John Deere have a little bit of protection from the arms. When we're looking at operation of the bucket, the John Deere has a mechanical level indicator. So when the cutting edge is flush to the ground and this bend in the level bar is with this bracket, we know from the seat that the cutting edge is flush to the ground. On the Kubota, for level indicator, we have a sticker on top of the bucket. So it is just a visual indicator, and you have to guess when that sticker is level to know when your cutting edge is flush to the ground. On the Kioti, there is no level indicator whatsoever, so it is just operator's best guess when that cutting edge is flush to the ground. When we look at quick attach for the buckets, John Deere has the pin type 440 hookup. On the Kubota, it has the standard skid steer type hookup. So that's great. It can pick up standardized attachments that have skid steer hookup on it. So it's a mechanical lever, nice and easy. And then close it. Now, one thing I did notice the other day when I was using this is when I unhooked, I drug a bunch of gravel into this mechanism and jammed it up. That was just kind of a fluke of the day, but that was something that I did notice. The Kioti has the same style coupler, again, quick attach. And lock. This one I found is a little bit more protected for that gravel situation that I was talking about. Let's look at maintenance for the loader. So on the John Deere, we have grease zerks on the outside, all on the outside of the pins, easy to get to. On the Kubota, the pins come in from the horizontal side of the pin here, up under here, up under here, here. So it's a little harder to get to with your grease gun end. The Kioti loader has the side pin lubrication as well. So all your grease zerks are in the ends of the pins, making it easy to find and lubricate. When we look at the hood grill, John Deere has a fixed hood grill. Does not need to be moved to lift the hood, fixed in place. On the Kubota grill, you do have to pull that forward to allow the hood to rise. One thing I noticed the other day is if you forget, which is easily to do, your loader will contact this hood if you don't put it back into position. When we look at loader stands for removing the loader, you can see ours has an integrated stand that comes down, goes all the way around, one piece, and that's all hydraulically activated once the loader is unhooked from the back portion of the mast here. So no mechanical usage to put that loader stand down to the ground. So on the Kubota, it has a mechanical lever here on the left-hand side. You can see. One thing I noticed, I get my hands all dirty from the grease from that pin. And then we look at all the linkages here to put the loader stand down. Another thing to note is that loader has to be up off the ground in order to set that in place. So I'm going to unlock, and again, it can't fall down because the loader's not up off the ground. So, you know, that's kind of a pain. And in order to put it back up, in order to get the latches correct, I have to pull up here and do my latch over here to lock it in place. Where the John Deere, you can do everything right from the seat. If we look at the John Deere front axle, so John Deere, they have that connecting bar that goes across. It's just a solid piece of steel. And then all of our steering components are in behind the axle. So it's protected from any stumps, rocks, debris when you're using the loader or just traveling through different types of terrain. If you look at the Kioti, all their steering mechanism is up front of the axle. Now it is protected fairly well from that front frame, but it is still there for potential impact here on these tie rods. When we look at the Kubota, you can see your full steering cylinder rod is exposed right in front of that axle. So any rocks, debris, stumps, that's going to be the first thing that you impact instead of the axle protecting it. So possible damage. When we look at the John Deere for daily maintenance checks, John Deere has their engine oil check right here, accessible without lifting the hood. And we also have a water separator for the fuel, so we can see if there's any water in the fuel. There's a red ring that floats up in this sight glass, which gives an opportunity to make sure the engine isn't getting water into the system, or also allows you to get the water out of the system. So when it comes to the Kubota, to check the oil, I have to pull out my grill. The hood latch is right here. I have my dipstick right here, so I can check my oil. There is no water separator on this that we could find. There is an inline fuel filter, but that's all that we could see in our exploration. For a daily maintenance check on the Kioti, the hood latch is down here, and the hood flips backwards. It does give nice access to most of the engine, and your oil check is right here by dipstick. Again, on the Kioti, we did not see a water separator. We did see an inline fuel filter. On the John Deere 1023 with the 120R loader, we have this nice robust cast locking mechanism for taking the loader on and off. On the Kubota, it is a lever locking mechanism. The Kioti is sort of similar in design to the John Deere, but this latch here is your locking mechanism with a spring here to keep that locked in place. To open the hood, John Deere, you need a key or some other thing to stick in the hole. Push that, unlatches the hood lifts up. I'm going to show where the battery positioning is here. So on the John Deere, it's right in the front of the grill, fairly accessible to jump or change. Opening the hood on the Kubota. Again, move that grill latches up here, and then it goes out. That's as far as I can get that open. For the battery, it's located back here by the operator station. And that comes off. So accessible once you get at it, but it is an extra piece to take off on the Kubota. If we're looking at the accessibility to the engine, as you can see, the Kubota hood only tips up so far. Radiators in the rear, so it's quite a job to change a belt if needed, which is right down in here. Also, we noticed that the air filter is considerably smaller than the one on the John Deere. On the John Deere, we have our hood up. If for some reason we need more access to the engine to do repairs or maintenance, we just have a turn here on this pin that just pops out, and then that side panel comes directly off to give us full access to the side of the engine. As you can see, it opens it up quite well. Again, if you want to see the size of the air filter in comparison, there you go. Lifting the hood on the Kioti, simple, again. Latch tilts up backwards. Batteries out front, easy access, and fairly decent access to the engine, and a little bit smaller filter. Another thing I noticed as well while we're here, under the hood, there are no stickers, no information. Where if I go to the John Deere, full service information and oil capacities and types right under your hood, so you don't have to go searching through your manual to get that information. And the Kubota was the same. No information under the hood. Let's move to the operator station. So John Deere. So one thing the Kubota and Kioti is going to have the John Deere over the John Deere 1023 is tilt steering. The 1023 does not have tilt steering. We can upgrade to the 1025 that gives us tilt steering on the operator station. When I switch over to the Kioti, it does have still tilt steering. So a lever there, tilt steering. Nice simple system. Kubota as well. Hold down the lever and tilt. Again, simple system, nicely indicated. So that's a nice plus on these over the 1023. But again, 1025 is an option to get that.
When we look at throttle handles, this is the John Deere. It's indicated with an orange color. When you push up, that gives you the high RPM. Pull back for low RPM. When we move over to the Kubota, the throttle handle is almost backwards to what you want to do. So down for high RPM, up for slow RPM. On the Kioti, it's same as John Deere. Up for high RPM, down for slow RPM. When we look at PTO switches, the John Deere is indicated by yellow for PTO. It's electric switch for on and off. When we go to the Kubota, it has a mechanical PTO engagement. And this requires you to move the lever forward to turn it on. When we go to the Kioti, it has an electric dial switch to turn on the PTO. So as a safety, you have to push it down to turn it, and same to turn it off. When we look at the John Deere ignition switch, it's on the right-hand side of the console. You turn the key on. It has a information center saying what may be wrong if the tractor's not starting. Here it's saying that it has to switch to neutral. There's also an auto glow plug on the John Deere. When we go to the Kubota ignition system, you can see there by the indicator on the key switch, it has a glow plug position. We also noticed this one would start in gear. We're not sure if it was the rental or if that's a feature that Kubota has. Kind of a safety concern if it is something that they can do. So that just shows it starting in that forward or rabbit position. Kioti has the same. It has a reverse key position for the glow plug. When we're looking at the position of the lights on the ROPS, you can see the Kioti had it about the same place as the John Deere, on the outside, closer to the middle of the ROPS. The Kubota was kind of tucked inside the ROPS, down a little bit lower, so they might be harder to see, but it does give a little more protection to them. When we look at the parking brakes and brake system, John Deere's brake pedal's on the left, and they have a hand brake for the parking brake to lock it in place. Looking at the Kubota, they have the parking brake on the left-hand floorboard as well. And you have to use your other foot to lock the parking brake into place, which when you're trying to use the forward reverse pedals as well, it's kind of cumbersome. Looking at the Kioti, same brake position and kind of a chintzy little handle there to lock it in place. It was tough to get that to actually lock. That handle was pretty flimsy. Looking at the four-wheel drive handle, it's down on the floorboard of the John Deere. It's forward for four-wheel drive, up for two-wheel drive, and it's indicated by a sticker there on the floorboard. On the Kubota, it's kind of integrated into the side console there, which is nice. Visual indicators for non-locked and locked positions. When we go to the Kioti, same kind of diagrams. Front wheel, it says, back is off, forward is on. When looking for the 3-point hitch rated drop, you can find it under the John Deere seat on the 1023. Right there, a little T handle to increase or decrease that rate of drop. On the Kubota, it's right there by the operator station, down between your feet. And same on the Kioti. Now the John Deere 1025 would be in the same position as the Kioti and the Kubota. 1023 is the only one that has it under the seat. The John Deere has a nice dial for your cutting height, for your mowing deck if you have that. Also mentioned we have a fully auto connect deck. There's your rate, height of cut for the Kubota. And you have a lever on the Kioti for your cutting height settings. Looking at the seat, John Deere, a yellow seat, vinyl. This is a rubber isolated seat on the 1023. Two nice stiff rubber isolators. It has 3 positions to get different ride comforts. The 1025 does have a fully suspended seat with springs and suspension. The Kubota has a suspension seat, armrest standard. spring suspension. The Kioti is an isolated seat as well. Flip it up. Very flimsy springs. They could be a lot more stiffer, I think. I don't think you get much suspension out of that seat at all. When we're looking at loader control handle, the John Deere has it positioned ergonomically there by your right hand. With the 1025, you also have the armrest on the seat, which is nice. When you're looking down to the left-hand side of that, there is a lock there for the safety to lock out that lever. When we're looking at the Kubota, same kind of positioning. The stick is a little bit higher to hold on to, and it has a locking mechanism right there on the side console. Now we're over to the Kioti. So same kind of positioning. Again, the stick is a bit high to be nice and comfortable, and it has a simple lever there to lock out the loader control. When we're looking at the left-hand control levers, orange is the high, neutral, low. Orange indicates powertrain, so throttle or gear shifter. Yellow is the PTO selector. Right now it's selected to the mid PTO. You have the option of mid PTO, rear PTO, or both. We're over at the Kubota, and your gear shifter was there. And then you go over to the other side where your PTO selector is. On the Kioti, PTO selector on the left, gear on the right. Here we're looking at the 3-point hitch control lever. So it is a return to center lever on the 1023. The 1025 has the option of having positional control. Kioti was the same, all return to center. All are located on the right hand side, and the Kubota as well, return to center.
On the John Deere, if we're looking at the transmission check and fill, so right here behind the seat is the dipstick for the transmission. Flip the seat up, and there's your cap for transmission oil fill. On the Kubota, similar access. So dipstick and fill is right at the back of the tractor. When we look at the Kioti, the dipstick is here, right by the PTO guard. And then your fill is right in here, underneath your back cowling. So you are going to need a flexible funnel to get the transmission filled on the Kioti. Top link attachment on the 1023, nice robust cast ears with pin. On the Kubota, similar, a little lighter, but same kind of principle, ears for pins. We look at the top link for the Kioti, you can see it's maybe 3/8 plate steel, which looks pretty flimsy compared to the other two products. Another thing to note is the hook for the top link is fixed. Noticed when we were adjusting top hook on the Kioti, it was in the way. John Deere's hook for the top link is right here. Flips down, stores out of the way. Not sure if it's this tractor, but I do not see any hooks to hold your top link on the BX23 Kubota. Okay, if we're looking at backhoe units, the Kioti doesn't have a backhoe on the one that we have here, so we'll just compare the Kubota and the John Deere. So first thing, John Deere went with 2 seats. Flip the front seat up, flip your backhoe seat down. On the Kubota, so spin style seat. So it has a mechanical latch here, unlatches from the bottom part of the seat frame. Then it has to lift up, turn, and you can see it's already getting a little loose. There's a couple hundred hours on this tractor. Once it spins, then it has to go forward and latch in the backhoe position. On the John Deere 260B, we got a nice grab handle here on the ROPS. Keep your 3-point safety at all times. Step here on the stabilizer to get up into this seat. So on the Kubota, you have a step. It's kind of hard to get to with boots on here. Now I'm a big guy. One thing I do notice is it's easy to get up around the controls, which was nice. Now I do find you're leaning forward a bit to reach your backhoe controls here. The other thing that we noticed getting up and down here, it's pretty easy to hit your head on this ROPS if you're not paying attention, where the John Deere has a forward-facing ROPS. Okay, so John Deere, you're sitting back in the seat, comfortable position. Your hands are right on the controls. You have a bar here to hold on to. And again, the ROPS is forward-facing, so there's lots of headroom to get up and on and off the tractor without banging your head. On John Deere's backhoe, we have locks for the stabilizer legs, one on either side. So that helps hold the legs up from drifting down when not in use. The backhoe also has its lock here with a lever and a swing pin for safety there. When we look at the back of the Kubota, it has swing lock pins, similar. Your boom lock pin instead of a lever here. So that's a loose piece that could go missing. It does have a storage part here. On the stabilizers, no locking mechanisms at all. For backhoe removal, there's a mechanical locking system. You can see there's a lever and springs and a latch there to lock the backhoe onto the tractor. On the John Deere, we only have this one locking pin here. That's what holds the backhoe onto the John Deere tractor. One thing to note on the Kioti, on the PTO guard, it only flips up a little bit, making it hard to get in here to work at the PTO shaft when you're hooking up PTO attachments. The John Deere PTO guard flips up 90 degrees, giving you full access here to get your arm and hand in to work at the PTO shaft. Here's a nice thing we saw on the Kioti on the ROPS pins. So spring-loaded pins. So ROPS pins on the Deere. You have your snap pin and just a regular pin to come out and put in. If you look at the fuel fill, John Deere is color-coded green for diesel. Easy to fill place on the fender. The Kubota has a black fill cap. It does have a sticker here saying diesel, but easily confused if somebody's not familiar with it. On the Kioti, black cap, but does have diesel fuel only. If we're looking at hose connections on the loader, on the Kioti, you can see individual connections in behind the loader arms. Very hard to see, very hard to get any leverage on them to connect and disconnect. On the John Deere, the hose connections down here on the floorboard. easy to get access and easy to get leverage for pushing those in to get them connected properly. That is the 1023 standard equipment. There is an option for a single point, and the single point is standard on the 1025R now. On the Kubota, so that does have a single point connection. Lever is here. And I'm not sure. I don't know if there's any way to access that without actually removing the loader first. I could be mistaken. For forward and reverse, the Kubota has its standard treadle pedal. So toe for forward, heel for reverse. Kind of a rocking motion, moving your foot from the front to the heel on the back. On the John Deere, we have the standard side-by-side pedal system. So forward pedal, reverse pedal. Very intuitive for most people. So similar to driving your car. Very natural movement. This feature is always up for debate. John Deere has a composite hood, sides, down into plastic composite floor, fenders. So if it gets scratched, it doesn't rust. It shows the exact same color. We're going to say John Deere is better in this category. Obviously up for debate. Kubota, metal hood, metal panels, metal fenders. So again, this unit has a couple hundred hours on it. Scratches. Down here to the floorboards. Scratches. And especially in our climate, that's going to rust. On the Kioti, same thing. Hood, metal on the sides, floorboards. And you can see scratches, some rust coming through. Where on the John Deere, there's a little scratch there, but no metal showing, not going to rust. One thing to note on the Kioti, we noticed, is the transmission filter is up front of the transaxle in the rear and fully exposed to hit anything that may be impacted in that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All right, I want to show a little bit of functionality here, just a basic test. So John Deere at idle, full control of all my functions. You'll notice on the Kubota it will not have that. It has to be revved up to do anything with the hydraulics. So I'm going to go low range, four-wheel drive. Steering all the way to the right. Still have function on my loader and dump. All the way to the left. Same thing. So that's something that we're going to check out with the Kubota. I know I'm going to drive into the pile, get a load of dirt, lift up while I'm driving backwards and turning. Let's see how it goes. So easy, I can use my level indicator, bucket's level to the ground. Drive into the pile. Under that joystick, get a decent bucket of sand. Come out. I'm going to lift, turn my loader. A little tight quarters here. We'll do it the other way. Lift, turn, So it's a little tight with the four-wheel drive. I will take four-wheel drive off. I will show you I can lift and be at a full turn. So, full turn and lift. So I'll park this out of the way. We'll try the Kubota. Okay, Kubota BX23. Notice there is a smaller bucket. Actually, hold on. I just realized I didn't put that grill back up. All right, a little bit smaller bucket. So we're going to go four-wheel drive. Engaged. Low range. Okay, I'm at idle. The bucket will barely move. Okay. So I'm going to rev it up here. So that speeds up the function quite a bit. All the way to the right and lift. Bucket will barely lift. All the way to the left. So a little bit of loss of function on the loader when you're turning. Bear with me, I'm not used to the treadle pedal. All right, bucket level indicators, my sticker over there. I think I'm pretty decent. So going into the pile. So I'm full pulling back on that lever, and this barely has enough power to even lift that full bucket of sand. And this is a smaller bucket than the John Deere. So it just barely lifts a full bucket of wet sand. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Come out. Hard turn, lift. Hardly anything. Hard turn, lift. Hardly anything again. I'm going to release the four-wheel drive to reduce that binding. The John Deere had that as well, so that's similar. All mechanical four-wheel drive linkages will do that. All right, give myself a little bit of room here. All right, so at the ground, hard left turn and lift. Hard right turn, lift. It seemed a little bit better, but again, once it gets to that extended point of the loader, the farthest away from the tractor, it barely lifts up over that fulcrum point. If I give it a little more RPMs, a little bit more power, but I'm up near 4,000 RPM right now. I'll take another scoop. All right. 3,500 RPM. it will just barely lift that load. So not a lot of breakout force. I'm going to hop right on the John Deere and do the exact same thing. So 53-inch bucket. I think the Kubota was a 46, 47 inch. So 3,500 RPMs. I mean, we don't need to be that high, but let's do it just for comparison. Go in, fill my bucket, and no problem lifting. And that is an extremely full bucket of dirt, wet sand actually. So let's back up. Full cycle, no problem. There you go. So the Deere has quite a bit more lift capacity than the BX23S. Let's just do that at idle just for something to do, right? So going in, bogs out because I'm not at too much RPM. So that's at idle, lifting nearly the same amount, about the same at idle, full cycle. Anyway, just another comparison. Again, we're just trying to inform the best we can so you can make the best decision for you. Overall, the point of this was just to show some key differences between the Kubota, the John Deere, and the Kioti. They're all great tractors, but John Deere, you know, they go just a little bit extra to make things easy to use, easy to maintain, and to get a little more value out of the unit. So comparatively, the Kubota, John Deere, Kioti, all the same engine size roughly. Kubota's 4 inches narrower, so stability comes into a factor there. Kioti's the same as the Kubota. The John Deere is 48 inches. When we look at the TLBs lengthwise, the John Deere is almost a foot longer. Helps with load stability when you have a load in the bucket. Also stability on hills. So, you know, I think we did what we wanted to do here today, is inform you. So when you're shopping, if you're shopping between Kubota, Kioti, or John Deere, you're informed as much as possible to the features and benefits of the John Deere tractor. We may be a little bit more money. You're getting a little more tractor, and hopefully the John Deere is the one you decide on at the end of the day. Appreciate you checking this out with us at Green Diamond, and come on in and let's have a talk about tractors. Have a good day.